just a computer.
Well, Colby may be just a computer, Nick, but he's still our friend.
Now I've heard everything. How can you be a friend with an overweight machine?
Oh, dear.
Hey, fun fans. It's another episode of We Enjoy. Thanks for joining us. We are the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hello, everybody.
Since I'm actually recording this podcast, you could probably guess that I'm a little better off here in Texas than a lot of people, including a few people I know. I'm pretty fucking cold, Eric. It's pretty cold here.
It's insane. Look, anything I say about my concern if Matt had lost power this week, of course, can't be anywhere in comparison to his concern that he was going to lose power. But my wife and I, she kept asking too, oh my gosh, does he still have power? Because it looks pretty damn intense, man.
Yeah, well, okay, so I won't go into the whole disaster that happened here this week. I'm sure a lot of people who have been online know all about it and have hopefully spent the day like me dunking on Ted Cruz on Twitter, which seems like it's an everyday thing, but today was for a very specific thing, Texas-related. So, some people lost power completely for days in freezing cold temperatures, and I was worried. We were warned ahead of time about rolling blackouts. I don't know how rolling they were. I felt like they were just blackouts that lasted a while, and they weren't distributed evenly the way we thought they were going to be. So I spent the first few days fully expecting power to go out for hopefully not a long amount of time, but expecting it. And then it never came. Then I told you, Eric, I have a running theory that I never lost power because I am very close to a fire station. And I feel like I'm part of an emergency grid, and that's sort of saved me. Watch as the power goes out in the middle of this podcast. But that didn't stop everything from being super, super cold in the middle of the week when it was 0. And, having to put towels and jackets under all the doors and windows and trying to get as much heat in here as possible. And then also becoming very concerned about food midweek because an Amazon Fresh order I had ordered probably last Friday, got canceled midweek and no one was outside driving or delivering anything. And so I did have to sort of make a very slow trek out into the ice, driving very slowly to the market close by. But yeah, like I said, there are other people who are in super dire straits all across this state, and I am fortunate to be sitting here recording a fucking podcast about Tim Burton's new Addams Family series.
No, I'm glad you were able to. How hot does it get where you live, Matt? What's the hottest temperature you get?
It goes above 110, It gets up. It goes super, super duper hot.
That's crazy that the same place you can be at zero, sub-zero.
Well, this is also unprecedented.
I know.
That's the other thing is that this is almost, it's unfair to get the extremes of both end of the temperature spectrum to the point where they don't really sell snow shovels here. There are just things that people don't think of here, like having fireplaces with firewood or having, when it actually gets icy here, DFW, which is where I am in Texas, shuts down because we don't have the infrastructure to de-ice roads. It's just not something that's part of Texas or states in the South, usually, where Texas is technically, I guess, not part of, quote-unquote, the South. If you're talking about geographic regions, it is in the southern part of the United States, but it's its own thing. But yeah, anyway, it's been really frosty here. But on the upside, my cat's been sleeping in my bed every night, so that's been very nice. Yeah, she's super cold, and she's.
Our cats do sleep in our bed more when it's LA cold. So yeah, I can only imagine.
Well, your cats are LA trained. They're like, oh, it's 60, it's freezing, and oh, it's raining. I can't drive. Yeah, they.
Yes.
So today, everyone, we're going to be talking about RoboCop 2, the movie that doesn't really feel like it's about RoboCop at all. We'll get to that later in the main event. We're also going to be going through some movie and television news. I don't know if you had a chance to look at all that, but I had a whole bunch of things put into our document.
I highlighted the 3 I thought we should talk about.
Oh, okay. I didn't even look at that.
You really want to talk about there too.
But I literally cut 4 other things out of there, I think, before you looked at it. So there was a lot loaded in there. And we're also going to recommend a few things as part of our Good Thing to Enjoy segment. So, but first, you can follow both of us on Twitter at the Matt Fowler and the Eric Goldman. The podcast is at We Enjoy Podcast. That's on Twitter. And also, we have a Patreon page at patreon.com/ we couldn't decide last week if it was / or / we enjoy.
I can figure it out.
Yeah, for $2 a month, you can get a commercial-free version of this podcast. And also, like the posts that we put up and leave us messages, which is what I'm going to read right now because people have been leaving us messages on Patreon. The first one comes from Robert, who writes, I listened to you guys in the old channel surfing days and really missed hearing you after you left. My friend was listening to We Enjoy Wrestling. Sidebar, I don't watch wrestling anymore, so I didn't know that show existed. And let me know about this one, and I'm happy to be hearing from the both of you again. Miso soup, winky face emoji, Robert. Thank you, Robert. And
thank you, Robert.
I feel like for a long while I was trying to capture the high of that miso soup mishap and realizing that it could just never be replicated. Like that type of breakdown, that type of giggle fest.
I've the only time I've ever seen you in that state, Matt. So. Is
that the only time I've ever completely lost it?
Like to that extent. Like I've seen you lose it other times laughing, but like I felt like the full breakdown.
Like when I just went full Evil Dead 2 Ash.
Right, yes.
Just lost it and became non-functional.
Yeah.
Jared also writes on Patreon, it's great to get new recommendations from you both. While it wasn't one of the official, quote, things to enjoy, I watched The Guest and thoroughly enjoyed it. In parentheses, Dan Stevens' eyes are mesmerizing. I'll try to watch some of the main events too. Thank you, Jared. And while we're on that, we just got a tweet just moments ago by Rob, who wrote in, found The Silent Partner on the Canopy app for free and watching it right now. Thanks for the recommendation. I don't know what the Canopy app is, Eric, but apparently...
I don't know either. My friend Brian Tucci texted me that I had forgotten to mention that it's on Criterion channel, the Criterion streaming channel, if you have that, which I did mean to mention. But I don't know about this Canopy. I'll have to look into this free Canopy deal.
What if it's just everything we ever recommend is on there somehow? What if we create the Canopy app as we are recommending things? It doesn't exist without us.
Wait, it's spelled with a K, huh?
Yep. That's how you know it's edgy.
Guess so. Well, they got The Silent Partner, so they're doing something right.
Okay, Curtis also writes into Patreon.
It's the one from the public library. Is this the one you might have to have a current library membership to use?
Oh, you have to be a reader?
You have to be a reader. You have to be like
Claire Danes and I Love You Not.
Yeah. Amongst our obscure references, that might be amongst the most obscure, because it's not even like a obscure reference to like a sci-fi thing or a cartoon that some other people know. It's just like a really zero people saw a movie.
We'll carve out a few moments in a future episode to talk about I Love You Not a little bit, because it will never be on A Good Thing to Enjoy, so it will never be a recommendation from either of us. Maybe we should start a separate one called Bad Thing to Avoid. Okay, so Curtis writes in, this was about our RoboCop chat last week. I'm so here for the Clarence Boddicker appreciation. Matt's Joker comparison is inspired, and I'm going to spread that word for the rest of my days. So thank you, Curtis. And then email-wise, and you can write into weenjoypodcast@gmail.com. Email-wise, Richard from New Haven, which I mentioned previously, I lived when I was a small child before moving to New York, writes in, I am a 40-year-old man who loves 80s movies, and somehow I had never seen RoboCop until you recommended it. I freaking loved it. I also watched Mohicans, The Last of the Mohicans, for the first time in a decade. These recaps help me check those movies off my should-watch list. Keep it up. And then he also asks if I'm doing okay out here in Texas, because Richard's family is in Fort Worth, which is the FW in DFW. and is really going through it right now, but hopefully things will improve soon. I feel like they are because the next few days we're going to get warmer here, which means the frost will dissipate, hopefully. Then also, finally, Mike writes in to the email, I'm loving the new show. I never listened to Channel Surfing. I was a recap fan and jumped on the WEW train, but I can see why you have such loyal fans from long ago. Well, thank you, Mike. I'm a fan of the RoboCop movies and the UPN live action show. I was at the right age to just think it was cool when I first saw it, and I appreciate the satire as I rewatched it later. To be honest, I like 2 the least of the trilogy. I know 3 is all flash and no substance. I don't care. I just wanted to be the girl with the Ed 209 puppy. Whoa. Spoilers for Robo 3 here. I don't know,
because neither Matt or I have seen 3.
You've seen parts. I haven't seen any.
I've seen parts on cable, yeah.
I didn't get to see any. RoboCop 2 does have one of my favorite sequences of any movie. The prototype RoboCop's sequence where they all go wrong. And
Wait, save it.
I know. But this is part, I guess, well then remind me to talk about this later or else I'm going to forget. Basically, Mike says the sequence had body horror, existential dread, and the stop motion looked great for what it was. Did either of us get the same vibe in Iron Man 2 when Stark was showing the Hammer Tech Iron Man videos? That always felt like an homage to me.
It's pretty, I don't know if it was an intentional homage, but it's certainly a similar moment, similar vibe.
Always, thank you for keeping me entertained. Knee lift, Mike, in parentheses, I never did learn what knee lift meant. Should I go into fucking knee lift? I don't know. Knee lift is specific to the wrestling column, wrestling wrap up from IGN. So,
yeah.
Okay. That's it. Let's go into news here. I don't know what you highlighted, so I'm just going to run through this. I'm assuming you kept in the Tim Burton's Addams Family.
Glover, WandaVision are the things I highlighted.
Okay. Well, we'll throw in some other things when I think about them. But I will say this. Maybe somewhere in the recesses of my brain, I remember that Burton was circling something Addams Family. But when I tweeted out on Wednesday morning, my Christina Ricci tweet was only because I fell asleep sort of half watching Sleepy Hollow the night before on cable. Mm-hmm. And I woke up and I tweeted that in hindsight, in retrospect, it's just kind of odd that Christina Ricci and Tim Burton only worked together on one movie. Now, obviously, Burton has his favorites with Winona and Johnny and other people he worked with and his wife and people, over the years. And also, Christina Ricci's role in that film was kind of bleh. It was very boring in that film because Depp was the quirky one and no one else could kind of be like that. But then came the news out of nowhere that Netflix had greenlit the entire series. The Tim Burton directed Addams Family series, which is specifically based on Wednesday. Yeah, it's specifically based on Wednesday Addams. It's called Wednesday, and that he will direct it. And it's first time directing for television, although it's Netflix. Does that kind of count? I guess it does because there'll be episodes.
Also, but is that technically true if you count Fairy Tale Theater, which he directed an episode of, and the Family Dog Amazing Stories episode? I don't know, Netflix.
Yeah, I count
it's like
those.
An ongoing series, but I still think.
Anyway, dubbed Wednesday. Well, here's the bummer part. We're not saying that Christina Ricci can't have a role on the show. Yeah. But man, Eric, she can't play Wednesday. This isn't the exploits of grown-up Wednesday Addams played by Christina Ricci that we kind of all want. This is a different take. It's a Burton take, and she is specifically Wednesday Addams as part of the Nevermore Academy, so she's student age, whether it's high school or college age student, so that's not Christina Ricci anymore. And she'll have to learn at this academy to control her psychic powers, deal with murderous monsters, and also solve a 25-year-old mystery involving her parents. So it is could be awesome, but it also sounds like could be a big boner. But we'll see. All eyes are going to be on who plays the new Wednesday.
Yes. Tim Burton, who made some of the most defining films of my life and has a very special place in my heart for them. I will say very hit or miss. I don't think he's done only bad. Like, I know people are like, he hasn't done anything good in 20 years. Well, I like Sweeney Todd. and I like the full-length Frankenweenie. And I've liked some of the stuff he's done, but there's been a lot more misses. That's for sure. Don't know what was going on with Alice in Wonderland. Don't know what was going on with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So, 1995, if you said Tim Burton was doing Addams Family, it's like 100% nothing but greatness can come from that. These days, I'm a little more wary, but I'm hoping it'll be a good project, because that's what we always hope, right?
And, Ricci could always play like an instructor at Nevermore Academy.
Yeah. I was tweeting with my friends and coworkers about this project and about like the, how we wish it was just like, legacy sequel thing, and they just same actors come back. Obviously, no Raul Julia, R.I.P. But the rest of them are back. And I did go into I had to be all stupid and like real about it and be like, well, I don't even know if they legally could, because MGM now has the screen rights to Addams Family, and those movies were made by Paramount that Ricci was in. So sometimes it gets into weird stuff. Like just today, did you do the TCA thing for Creepshow today?
I had it on in the background, but I wasn't paying attention.
It was very interesting when they talked about how the question of would they ever do would they do segments on the Creepshow TV show that would be sequels to any of the segments from the movies?
Oh, I did see you tweet about this.
Yeah, they wanted to, but legally they can't, even though it's all Creepshow. There's those segments from that movie they can't do, and they actually wrote a episode that was specifically a sequel to the Crate story from the movie, but they were not legally allowed to do that.
Which is what I tweeted about when Hal Holbrook died, because as a kid, I didn't know about his long storied movie legacy in actual grown up movies. I knew him from Creepshow and Fletch 2. So
well, no, I mean, I was talking to a bunch of horror fans. It was like Creepshow in the Fog,
Yeah.
That's what a great career.
That's all you need to be a part of the autograph annex at Comic-Con. Yeah.
Right.
All right. So hopefully, hopefully Ricci can be the Snape, the potions professor of Nevermore Academy or something. Yes. Oh, and showrunners are going to be Miles Millar and Al Gough, who people would know from Smallville and Into the Badlands. Two very different shows, but...
Two very different shows. I enjoyed Into the Badlands. I didn't stick with it, but I enjoyed what I saw.
I'll throw this in here just because it's kind of Burton-related, which is that Danny Elfman is going to be doing the score for Marvel's Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, directed by Sam Raimi. And the funny thing is, and specifically because it has to do with the beginning of both of their careers, Elfman at least as a film scorer and Burton as a director, that like Elfman and Burton are sort of really synonymous and go hand in hand with each other, even though obviously both of them, Elfman scored other movies and Burton did movies without Elfman doing the score.
Only once, right? Only Ed Wood, because they had a falling out at that point.
Was that the only one?
I believe it is notable for that reason. Yeah.
I just don't feel like outside of Spider-Man that people realize that he's also Elfman has also scored a handful of Raimi films that like Darkman and Simple Plan and Oz the Great and Powerful.
The March of the Dead theme from Army of Darkness.
From Army of Darkness, yeah. So he's a collaborator with Raimi too. It's not out of nowhere. And it's not just because of Spider-Man. But
yeah, it was funny because I had a couple of different reactions to this. Where first was interesting. Michael Giacone is not coming back for this, but it makes sense because of the Raimi-Elfman relationship. Even though, because Giacone does so many Marvel stuff these days, he's doing the Spider-Man trilogy, all three of the new Spider-Man movies. But then I remembered something that I looked up. I'd forgotten, first of all, I forgot, Matt, that Elfman had scored Oz, which is, Doctor Strange 2 is Raimi's first feature film as a director since that movie, which is weird and strange, no pun intended. But the other thing I remembered was Elfman and Raimi had a falling out over Spider-Man 2, which is why Elfman did not score Spider-Man 3. And I looked it up, and I found an article written by Fred Topel, a reporter we know, where he talked to Elfman. And Elfman was like, this is like shortly, or actually this is before Spider-Man 2 even opened. But at the time, Elfman was like pissed. He was like, that relationship's over. I've never had something kind of go sour like that. 10 years of working together. He felt like Raimi was like just impossible to work with on Spider-Man 2, was so in love with the temp track and just wanted him to copy the temp track. We'll never work together again. But then they did Oz together like 2 years later. Or maybe 3 or 4 years later. But still, they mended fences. But I'd forgotten that, so I thought, wow, is this the first time since Spider-Man 2? Like 15 years later, they mended fences, but they mended fences like a while ago. But that was my little trip down memory lane.
What a bunch of boo-boo, cry-cry shit babies.
Hey, look, shit happens. It's Hollywood. Baby.
Never working with them again. It's fucking tantrums. Okay, so yeah, I felt like that was organically able to squeeze into the news because it was Burton-ish, Burton adjacent. You did say Mr. and Mrs. Smith, yes. Okay, so this also you can also talk a little bit about Glover's deal that he just signed with FX because that's
with Amazon.
With Amazon. There we go. Leaving FX, I had it backwards. Yeah. So Donald Glover and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who if you haven't watched Fleabag, maybe you should just recommend Fleabag this week, Eric. If you haven't watched Fleabag, it's amazing. It's on Amazon. There's 2 seasons. You can go through it real quick, and it's totally worth it. And she also helped create Killing Eve, and she is, if No Time to Die ever comes out, she was did Punch Up, as far as we know. So Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Donald Glover are currently both collaborating in a development of a Mr. and Mrs. Smith TV series, which is based on the 2005 movie, which famously starred Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. Was that the movie where he met Angelina and started seeing her when he was still married to...
That's yeah. If you follow the tabloids, that movie's a big one.
It's also a really good movie.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
It's a really entertaining movie, directed by Doug Liman? How do you say his name?
I say Lyman, but I don't know if I'm right.
Okay, well, I'll just join you in either your correctness or your incorrectness. So, really good, entertaining action movie, very well, just sort of well done. It is basically also kind of what we were talking about last week, because we mentioned the True Lies adaptation that was in development, which is, there was that show Undercovers, but True Lies is like the husband lying to the wife. Undercovers was they both knew each other's secrets, they were both spies and they knew it. This one is a combination of the two, which is that they're both spies, but they're both lying to each other. Or they're both assassins, at least. And not only assassins, but they're like at rival assassin agencies.
Right.
So it's being developed with Glover and Waller-Bridge to star as the leads. And it's really exciting. It's going to be good. And it's they're producing it with Francesca Sloan, who also worked on Atlanta and Fargo, and she will be the showrunner. And they also worked together before on Solo. Yes.
Which is easy to forget because she's physically, you don't see her, but she was the voice of the droid. But they go back, people had pointed out there's a video. He gave her like an award, a British award show, and he's just like a huge fan. Like he had so much praise for Fleabag and talked about after he watched it, he told all the writers on Atlanta, you have to watch this show, and how amazing he thought it was. So,
I don't think their careers parallel, but I do think that they have a lot in common because like what you're saying, they both created their own shows and starred in and wrote them.
That feel so distinctly like of them. Now people were already asking, oh no, what does this mean about Atlanta? And then it got worse when they announced a couple days later on the heels of this that he had now signed an overall deal, Donald Glover, with Amazon, signaling the end of the overall deal he's had for several years with FX. So now Amazon is his new home to make new fancy projects. But the big thing that they've made sure to put in the article is it does not affect Atlanta season 3 and 4. He will still shoot that this spring, back to back. They were written already. I think COVID delayed their production, but they're already written. And then the interesting thing they said there is it was written into contractually. They made it part of his deal with Amazon that if he wants to do more Atlanta after season 4, he can. It's just Donald Glover. I think we all understand Donald Glover being a very mercurial, I want to do new things people. I think once he does Atlanta 3 and 4, that might be it.
I do. That's fine. But also, can there be, he can Atlanta whenever he wants, which
and it can be like Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Which I applaud as a stipulation in a contract, but I wish there was a clause in there that is and also force David Fincher to do a Mindhunter season 3.
Even though he has nothing to do with FX.
No. It doesn't matter. It's in the contract.
Yes.
It's in a completely separate contract that he has to do it. It's like a wrestling contract where if you lose, you have to be someone's butler. Like, that's legally binding.
Yes.
Which is actually just happened on AEW. I don't know if you knew that. So, okay. So also just a quick shout out to the 2007 pilot that was made for ABC, the Mr. and Mrs. Smith pilot that never got picked up to series, that starred Jordana Brewster and Martin Henderson, and you can watch it on YouTube, the entire pilot.
I remember writing about this at IGN. I'd forgotten it existed until you said it, and then I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, you can watch the whole thing. It's on YouTube. It's not good. I watched like 3 minutes. I was like, I'm done. I got all I need from this. All right. Very quickly, I know that you did. This wasn't Eric Goldman approved news, but I think you'd approve it more than I would because Eric, don't be Maddington or Saddington, but I have not watched either Paddington.
I figured.
Yeah, it's not that I don't want to. It's just that I haven't.
Paddington, people say Ted Lasso is the Paddington of TV, so Paddington is the Ted Lasso of movies.
And Paddington 3 is on its way, so I thought that might make you Gladdington.
It does make me Gladdington. Paddington was my beloved childhood stuffed animal. I still have. It's kind
I
of
remember your
apart.
Paddington.
Yeah. But I had no connection to the stories of Paddington. I didn't read the books or watch the animated series. I just had a Paddington. So that was my only connection to Paddington.
I read the stories. Paddington's the only reason I had any business as a child knowing what marmalade was growing up in the United States. So I didn't know what it was. Orange marmalade, specifically. I was like, what is that? And then I had it. I was like, oh, it's kind of rindy. Okay. My childhood bear, which I still have as well, was a Gund bear. Do you remember the Gund bears? They were real squishy. In fact, mine is named Squish. Yeah. Gund bears are great. They were super. My mom got it for me because I was having nightmares, probably about living in New York City and the body count.
Paddington, the movies, though, and I guess I knew enough to do the marmalade thing, but the movies are delightful and charming, and the second one is it's definitely, because the first one's great, but the second one's better than the first, and so it's one of those rare sequels where you're like, oh wow, this is.
And we just talked we kind of talked around this topic at the beginning of the news segment because Addams Family Values is just like that.
Yes, it is. And Paddington will have to. One thing it'll have to do is sort of who will play the villain, because Nicole Kidman was in the first one as villain. She was fun, but Hugh Grant had an amazing role, and I think he said it's like one of his favorite roles he's ever done. And if you watch the movie, you'll see why. It's a truly, truly wonderful role that he was great in. So now there's kind of this barb and raise of like who will be the acclaimed actor that will play the Paddington villain. So we'll see.
About a bear. I saw some people shouting out suggestions. The only one I remember is Toni Collette, but yeah, I've seen a few people talking about the Paddington villain. It's like a Bond villain at this point. Is Paddington the backup James Bond for England at this point?
Kind of. Well, the voice of the guy who plays Q in the current Bond movies is the voice of Paddington.
Oh, and he worked together with Hugh Grant on that movie that I can't remember the name of. It was a miniseries, actually, on Amazon that was very good. I watched it. It was like 3 episodes. I can't remember the name of it. Ben
Whishaw, I believe.
Yeah. He and Hugh Grant were great in it, and I reviewed it even, and the name escapes me. Some trailers released this week that we won't dive completely into. The official Snyder Cut trailer landed over the weekend in all of its big square non-widescreen glory because Zack Snyder is actually going to release this movie in 4:3. Actually, that's not a film term, but I can't remember the film ratio that's the video equivalent of...
Because it was shot for IMAX. But
like when he said that when he was shooting the IMAX segments for Batman vs. Superman, he just fell in love with the entire format and wanted to shoot a whole movie in a square. So... he composed his movie specifically to fill up that full frame of the film, and anyway, so that's how it's going to be released. And it had Joker, in no irony whatsoever, saying "We live in a society," which, if no one knows, was sort of a phrase that was adopted by galaxy-brained edgelords to separate them from the sheeple, but then it got turned into a meme that made fun of them and performative intellectuals in general, and then they have Joker saying it anyway, in all seriousness. And
now it's like a strange hybrid, I'm the Juggernaut bitch, but with a serious lens. I don't know.
Man. And the Mortal Kombat trailer dropped just today, and it looks a lot of fun. Eric, Jezebel is not a parody site, right? I don't know if what happened today with Jezebel.
Oh my god! I meant to tweet this. I was running late, or I would have tweeted how.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I don't know if it was purposeful or not
because it's still up.
Beyond pretty.
It's still up. Anyway, for those who don't know, Jezebel had an entire article lambasting the new Mortal Kombat movie in the trailer for its lack of Chun-Li. Which seems like a joke, especially because there's like a whole paragraph in it where the author's like, being an astute film critic that I am, I immediately clocked a glaring error in the film, which is, where is Chun-Li? And I feel like you don't say that and be so wrong. For those who aren't familiar with these early 90s fighting games, Chun-Li's from Street Fighter. Anyway, and it just feels like it has to be meant as a joke.
It feels like it has to be even the correction at the end, where it's like, oh, we were informed. It turns out Chun-Li is a character from Street Fighter, not Mortal Kombat. Wow, it's just I'm like, okay, like I think this is a joke, but then I saw
the correction doesn't even say that. The correction says, when asked why Chun-Li wasn't in the trailer or the movie, we were informed that she was not part of the Mortal Kombat Megaverse or something like that. Not even that she's in Street Fighter, but so then when they're like, wow, it seems like that they're just offended that she's been left out of canon somehow.
I don't know. It's hard to tell, right? I
don't know. I know. Up is down, black is white.
I don't know. Is this genius? Is this idiocy? I don't know.
I can't remember her name, but she's a comedian online, and today she released a video pretending, the parody is she was like Ted Cruz's PR person, explaining why he went to Cancun, and it's a joke.
Blair.
Yeah, Blair. And Blair Escreen or something.
Yeah.
And I saw people quote tweeting it, thinking it was real. So again, we're at this point where now, like, does parody even exist anymore? Because reality, like, Veep ran into this problem in its final season, which is like everything that's happening in real life is almost you can't make fun of it because it should be parody in its own right, but it's not.
Well, yeah, because another popular Twitter comedian, Brent Turhan, who does a ton of he did a lot of pretending to be a hardcore Trumpy. Videos. He would get very similar, like, oh my god, look at these idiots and what they believe, when it was like, if you watch it, you'd think people can tell it's a parody, but clearly
you kind of can't. You kind of can't anymore, Eric. God, it's cold here. Okay, let's talk about, speaking of bad takes, even though we're not sure if the Jezebel one is real or not. Let's talk about WandaVision, and sadly, what are some real takes made by some people we, want to be delicate about this. People, these are TV journalist peers sometimes of ours, but TV Line had a whole thing this week following episode 6 of WandaVision. For those of you who are keeping up, and, we're not here to spoil anything if you're not watching WandaVision, but their big takeaway was WandaVision, you must reveal your big bad now. We've been waiting long enough. It's been 6 episodes now. Part of answer culture. And then IndieWire had a weird one. It was even weirder because the TV Line one was just like, okay, they want answers. This was kind of a conflated, exaggerated headline to get attention, and it did. But the IndieWire one just feels weirdly obtuse and ill-informed, which is kind of like, their take was, WandaVision, after 6 episodes, still feels far too much like an inflated feature film that just keeps dragging out its story via inconvenient weekly installments.
Right. Yeah, this is the one I just couldn't even get a grasp on.
Because right now more than not describing a television series.
Right.
And the fact that weekly installments of a television series are somehow inconvenient.
Right. Yeah, that I don't know. It's look, I know it's going to be a constant battle, like, the binge versus weekly thing, and they'll always be the hardcore bingers, Matt. I've gotten into long discussions, sometimes heated, on Twitter over this.
People who want it now, and they want to watch it all now, and they don't want to wait, and they don't. Yeah.
Right. And it's not like a circle, because then it turns into the because if I say you could just wait till it's all out and then watch it then, but then I have to avoid spoilers for all those weeks. Well, if I don't watch it the first weekend, if they're, Stranger Things, if I don't watch Stranger Things season 4 the first weekend it comes out, I have to avoid, everything will be spoiled. Like the entire season.
The entire season will be spoiled. Yeah.
Right. There's no perfect answer on this. But yeah, I do think that, you just, that second one, it just really felt like, you're forgetting how TV works, It's just, and look, I'm very happy that WandaVision, first of all, we've already talked about it, we're happy that it's weekly release, but also that it distinctly feels like a TV show versus a lot of the Netflix shows where they don't, especially early on. I think they've tried to fix this, but there were certainly a lot of early on where it's like, it didn't even feel like their episodes were formed as episodes. It was just like, well, the hour's up,
So the TCAs are actually going on right now via Zoom, socially distanced, online, and there was a version.
Association press tour. We should
Television Critics Association press tour happens once in the summer, once in the winter. They last for a little over 2 weeks, and this one though is a little more spread out because it's different. It's online, but for a little while there was a friendly game of TCA bingo going on where if we wouldn't take a shot or anything. I don't think it was an actual drinking game, but you would mark down when a panelist or a creator or an executive said something that you hear a lot during Q&A panels for new shows coming out. And the city we filmed in is also
another character.
It's feels like another character in the story. Or one of the cast members saying I know this is a cliche, but this is the best cast and friendliest cast I've ever worked with. Really do feel like a family, exactly. Just sort of catch-all platitudes that we hear quite a bit. Stock answers from, people who have been properly media trained. But one of the things that came around in the streaming era was a lot of people describing, as if this was a good thing, as if TV was a bad word, and as if episodic TV was sort of a no-no, that the 10 episodes of this season really just feel like a long movie. It doesn't feel like a TV show. It just feels like a long movie, as if that was a glowing compliment. Now, I understand it can be to some people, and I understand that it does mean it. That does certainly have its own distinct feel. When episodes bleed together, which is kind of what Netflix loves to do because they don't want you to stop. They just want a continuous stream of serialization to gain as much eyeball hours from you as possible. That's their goal. They do want it to feel like a long movie, and they kind of have killed not all the time. Not for other. There are some shows that still adhere to this, but they do kill the episode of TV, the encapsulation of a story.
I love the one where,
where you kind of know the name of the episode, and you're like, oh, I love this episode because this happens and this, and you get a resolution, like you get a beginning, middle, and end of a story, but it's also part of a larger serialized picture. Episodic TV is great, and for IndieWire to call WandaVision an inflated feature film, which is kind of what Netflix and a few other streaming sites have touted a little bit over the years that their shows feel like, is wrong, because this is episodic television. This is very much designed to be episodic, to the point where the sitcom genre changes week to week.
Yep.
So even if you don't remember the episodes' names in this case, because it is streaming and we're a little more detached from names at this point of episodes when it's on a streaming platform, you could still be like, oh, the Bewitched one. Oh, the Brady one. The Family Times one. Yeah, exactly. The Malcolm in the Middle one. So it is very much episodic. And so I don't get any part of their headline at all, Eric.
No. It was, that way lies madness. I don't know. look, everything can't make everyone happy. I think, by and large, WandaVision has been very well received. But I can at least get more behind. I can understand a little more like, I feel like we should know who the villain is now. If it even, I don't want to go too into the story about, you could debate even where they're going with it. But the question of like, why am I waiting each week to see this? And they're just, I don't know. I just don't see that at all. Because it's a TV show. Because you are watching a television series. That is what you are engaging in.
Man. Yeah, anyway, those takes, they made me Maddington, Eric. But the show, WandaVision, is Raddington.
It is. And 3 hours right as we record this, 3 hours till the new episode.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'll probably just stay up. I have trouble sleeping after I record because I get so jazzed about talking about stuff, Eric, that I can't calm down.
There you go.
Okay, time to do good thing to enjoy. Think of one yet?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to go first? Do you want me to this time?
You go first this time.
Oh, wow, switching it up. Okay, I don't even know if people are going to like this movie, but I like it a lot. And actually, it's going to lead me into talking about a new version of it that was created, I think, miniseries style back in 2018. Last week we were talking, or the week before, I can't remember. I brought up Peter Weir a little bit because we were talking about Curtis Hanson, and we were just talking about really good directors who directed a bunch of different type of genres, who aren't auteurs in their own right, but are able to take a story of mostly any genre and do a really good job with it. Mm-hmm. And I brought up Peter Weir because we were talking about Curtis Hanson, and Peter Weir is an Australian director who did Witness, Dead Poet Society, Truman Show, Master and Commander. Mm-hmm. Not all of his films were amazing, I think, but I think he did enough great films that, like Green Card, which I did see in the theater, I wouldn't put it as like at the top of his list, but I think he came to fame with doing a couple Mel Gibson movies in the early 80s. He did Year of Living Dangerously and Gallipoli. Mm-hmm. But this movie goes back to 1975. It's one of his first movies. And I saw this movie a long time ago, and I revisited it this past week. And you can watch it on HBO Max, and it's called Picnic at Hanging Rock. And it is a really bizarre and beautiful, kind of unsettling mystery, ? I say mystery. It's not really. I don't know how to describe it except by just telling you the plot. It's based on a book that was written in the 60s that's kind of a famous Australian book about... it takes place in 1900 exactly. And a bunch of young women from a college or whatever sort of was kind of like an academy for women back in 1900 go out to Hanging Rock, which I think it's in the Victoria province. Is that what they call them in Australia? I'm butchering Australia right now.
I don't know. Sounds kind of odd.
It's in Victoria, Australia, and it's this big, really interesting and fascinating looking geological formation in Australia called Hanging Rock. Anyway, these schoolgirls go out there with a couple teachers on St. Valentine's Day for a picnic. And 3 of them go missing, as well as one of their teachers, and no one knows what the hell happened. And so it's disappearance at Hanging Rock, but it's actually called Picnic at Hanging Rock. And it's this sort of really esoteric, beautifully shot mystery about how nobody understands what happened to these girls who kind of go exploring into the crevices of this big sort of geological formation and experience a sense of like euphoria and madness almost. It's really bizarre, but I really liked it a lot. And now, because I was flipping around HBO Max, I saw that there's a new version of it that was made in 2018 that I think is a miniseries, but it stars Natalie Dormer and Samara Weaving.
I was going to mention that they had that recent version.
Yeah, so now I want to watch that because I remember really enjoying Picnic at Hanging Rock a long time ago, which I saw around the time I was in film school and just watched it again this week. I think it still holds up. It is a a funky film. It's kind of weird. It's kind of slow. It's I don't know how to describe it. I don't even know if a lot of people will dig it, but I liked it a lot. Anyway, that's my pick.
I need to check that out sometime. But it's funny you mentioned Samara Weaving, who I watched 2 different movies of this past week. I don't know if you saw my tweet about that. I watched The Babysitter on Netflix, and I watched Bad Girl, which caused me. And so don't tell me if I'm right that it even seems like a possibility. But I will say that I have yet to see a Samara Weaving movie, except for Bill and Ted 3, is the only exception. But all her other movies, she is either trying to kill people, trying to avoid being killed, but she has to kill people because they're trying to kill her. But she always ends up covered in blood. She is she has gone through some corn syrup, that girl.
If we're talking about also Ash versus Evil Dead.
Yep. Of course, Ready or Not. But yeah, she's.
And if anyone's making the connection with the Weaving name in Australia, she is the daughter of Hugo Weaving.
No, she's not.
I say she is. That's my headcanon.
No, she's niece.
Niece. Okay, she's related to Hugo Weaving.
She is.
She is a blood relation of Hugo Weaving.
Yes. I hadn't decided what I was going to say at the top of this podcast for this segment. And then I thought of something as weird because it just different filmmakers kept coming up from it. And I thought, should I do this because it's the same actress who started something I did like 3 weeks ago? But fuck it. Why not? So I'm going to do 1999's Go as my thing I enjoy and recommend. And the reason I thought of it this podcast, Matt, is because we talked about
Doug Liman, or however it is you say it, which I don't remember. Yeah.
Who directed it. And then we were talking about Tim Burton films, and John August, who wrote Go, has written multiple Tim Burton films, including ones I didn't like Turn Factories, and ones I did like Frankenweenie. But he's both the director and writer of this movie have gone on to very long, successful careers in Hollywood. I think Go is one of those movies that like a good amount of people have seen, but others it seems way off the radar. I tweeted the poster recently, and it was funny how different reactions were from like, oh, I love that movie too. Is that Timothy Oliphant? 1989, big ensemble of people that were either sort of big at the time or about to be big in it. But the person, my repeating actor is Sarah Polley, who I just talked about in Sweet Hereafter. This was, I guess this was like her first Hollywood movie because Sweet Hereafter got her so much acclaim. This began her I don't want to be in Hollywood term.
Yeah, and Go is I also really like Go, and it is just I remember Go came up recently because there was a Twitter meme going around which was like, what is an LA movie that feels like LA? Yeah. And I saw a few people mention Go.
Yeah. So Go, some people kind of, I think, dismissed it as like a Pulp Fiction knockoff, just structurally speaking. John August has always said that he did not think about Pulp Fiction when he wrote it. Now, that doesn't mean that's not why it helped it get greenlit, maybe, because, of course, once Pulp Fiction came out, the rest of the 90s were influenced by a lot of movies that were either directly aping Tarantino or had something about them that people wanted to evoke of Tarantino.
Eric, you and I both went to arts colleges. I went to film school. We both went in the wake of Tarantino.
Yeah.
I had to see a lot of school student projects that involved a lot of dialogue and a lot of talk about Charlie Bronson and a lot of just a bunch of Tarantino try-hard clones coming out my ass all the time.
Yes. But so I understand why people bring up Pulp Fiction because this came out 5 years later, and it is 3 stories that similarly, it's like 3 stories that overlap and jump around in time, and you kind of figure out by the end kind of the right order for them and how they connect. It does have that similarity, and there's crime. There is crime and witticism. I think it has its own vibe. I don't think that John August aped Tarantino's style with. I
don't even think of Tarantino when I think of that movie. I don't really. I mean, structurally, sure, but like the rest of it, no.
Yeah, and also it was Doug Liman's second movie. Swingers was his first, and so to me it was just also continuing, more of like sort of. It is also funny to say because Tarantino has had movies, obviously Once Upon a Time in Hollywood many years later, especially L.A. movies, but his earlier ones weren't as much about L.A. And Doug Liman's 2 movies, his first 2, I'm saying, really felt L.A. It's funny you mentioned that meme. I hadn't even thought of Go, but you're absolutely right. Really fun. There's some really interesting, fun performances in it. William Fichtner, who I think most people know is like intense guy in a lot of dramas, but he has a very, very funny role in this. Scott Wolf and Jay Marr have really funny roles in this. And Timothy Oliphant, and kind of I guess Scream 2 had already come out.
Katie Holmes. Katie Holmes was one of the bigger names at the time.
She was absolutely, because what the Dawson's cast were doing on their summer breaks, that was a big thing at the time, and this is what she should do.
Also, this movie provided Eric and myself with one of our longer-standing quotes that we quote to each other from a movie that no one will ever pick out of a lineup.
Right,
we say this to each other, and no one will ever be like, "Oh, that's from Go." Because
another meme that went around this week was like, say a quote from a movie that you don't even have to say the title; people know the quote. Well, we have the opposite of that.
Yeah, we say the quote all the time, and nobody even knows it's from a movie. Which is, anytime Eric and I say like, "What is that?" or "What's," I don't even
why did that happen, or what's, like, if we're asking the cause or the explanation for something.
If there's a question, usually we'll have the answer of, I don't know, some shit. And it comes from I don't even know why it was so memorable to us. It is kind of like a funny... It's a funny part.
Breckenmeyer gives it a very funny delivery.
Breckenmeyer says this when he gets a phone call, and he has basically like crippling diarrhea at the time or something, and he can barely be bothered by what the actual severity or meaning of the phone call is, and it's actually very important, but he hangs up, and is it James Duvall?
Yes.
Who asks him? And he's like, "Who was that?" And he says, "I don't know, some shit." Before,
and we loved it.
Before he returns to like laying down in agony. So yeah, I enjoy Go as well. It's very good. I back you up.
Thank you, and I should check out Picnic at Hanging Rock.
I feel like I don't know if I should add more context to Picnic at Hanging Rock, except to say it's slow, everybody. So if you're in the mood for something a little more kinetic and dynamic, I understand. Also, it's one of those weird, like the book plays it off like it's a true story. And so I can't say it's one of the first examples of this because I don't know the history of this type of storytelling. But, we got when Fargo was like, this is based on a true story, it's not. And the Coen brothers only put that there to give it a truth is stranger than fiction feel. So the events of Fargo did not happen, but they blatantly lie to you at the beginning of the movie and say that it did. Picnic at Hanging Rock is a fake true story.
Okay.
And I don't know if I heard. I knew it before I watched it, so I figure it doesn't hurt other people to know that too.
Okay. I will say I just looked this up. Currently, both these films are very readily available to rent on all your major platforms, your Apple, your Amazon. Picnic at Hanging Rock, however, is also streaming on the Criterion Channel and on HBO Max, and Go is on Stars currently.
Is this from that bullshit site?
It's from that bullshit site.
Okay. Let's talk about RoboCop 2. And I don't know how much in the weeds we want to get about RoboCop 2, but we'll talk about it at some length. It's, this movie is not about RoboCop. And, reading about the production...
Full spoilers for RoboCop 2 follow.
Full spoilers for RoboCop 2. Thank you, Eric. Reading about the rush production, the script that never wound up happening fully because of the writer's strike. Yeah. There was just a lot of hiccups going into this one, including the major producer of the movie, John Davison, not even wanting to do a follow-up to RoboCop, which I think we could all applaud given how great RoboCop is.
And one thing that's not really mentioned on the wiki page is they mentioned Verhoeven was busy with Total Recall, which is true, but Verhoeven didn't want to do it either. At that Q&A that's on the Blu-ray for the first one, he talks about how he's never done a sequel and he never really wanted. He jokes how he came close to Basic Instinct 2 and kind of dodged a bullet there. But that he's just a guy who sequels aren't his thing. So even though he's made a few movies where people wanted to do sequels, and in the case of RoboCop and Basic Instinct and Starship Troopers did make sequels, he's never been someone who wanted to be involved in that.
I'm just a guy standing in front of a movie fan asking him not to force me to make a sequel. And I guess, in hindsight, they were correct because this is not a great film. And skipping toward the third act a little bit, This movie is about 20 minutes longer than the first RoboCop, which was the perfect length. If we're at a 90 or 100-minute film, that's a pretty good length of storytelling. I'm not saying you can't have long movies, obviously. Like, I love a lot of long movies. But for, like, this type of, like, just sci-fi actioner with some satire and that's an origin story, RoboCop was the perfect length. This is 20 minutes longer, and I came to realize that there's a huge stretch of 20 minutes in this movie where RoboCop is not in it. And it's like that accounts for RoboCop. The 20 minutes extra of RoboCop is that heading into the third act, RoboCop vanishes from this movie. And it becomes all about the OCP and the drug dealers. Like, he's gone forever.
They forgot to give him an arc.
His arc that starts at the beginning of the movie is dropped almost immediately.
Is dropped, and then he has a second mini arc we can talk about. But this was an interesting experience rewatching this movie for me, because I've seen the first RoboCop a million times. For the past few decades, I've watched it many, many times every couple years. RoboCop 2, I remember I saw it at least 2 or 3 times in the theater, because I think RoboCop 2 was probably one of my first experiences of being disappointed by something I was really excited for, but also not wanting to admit that I was disappointed by it.
This sounds like a huge moment.
Right.
The first time you were disappointed by something?
I mean, a sequel.
I mean, we're both we're both children of divorce, Eric.
Right.
And this is the first time Eric experienced disappointment?
If anything. No. So I remember I saw RoboCop 2 or 3 times in the theater, and it was one of those movies on cable all the time, and I actually saw it quite a bit back then. But I haven't watched it in decades since, because I knew it wasn't good, so I hadn't revisited it. So watching it was interesting because I'd forgotten a lot. There was a lot that I was like honestly, I think this movie's biggest pop culture imprint is Nuke, because everyone it's kind of a running joke in the sci-fi movies, the drug of the future, and what's your funny name for it. And Nuke always stood out as just like a memorable name, and the way you inject it into your neck, and it looks like it's like little high C inside it. So Nuke stuck out, but not much else about RoboCop 2 stuck out to me. So I was kind of discovering it all again. I will say, rewatching it, the first half, I was like, this is better than I remembered. Because there's some funny bits. Again, everything's in the shadow of the first one. They're trying to do their best to ape the first one. Ape, I mean, by they don't have the same writers. They don't have the same director. But they're trying to do that vibe. And some of it's funny and some of it's not. But it's the second half where I'm like, yeah, this was a movie you can feel rushed. They didn't have a finished script, and they never figured. Look, a lot of movies start. Hollywood is famous for this. We talked about, this is the thing. Like, all your big Hollywood summer movies start without a script. They're all rewritten on set. And a lot of them end up pretty awesome. But
Die Hard is a huge example of this, and also we just did a lot of recapping of the Mission Impossible franchise, and that was a big, those movies turned out great as well. They can either suck or they could be great.
Yep. I mean, that's what I get when someone is like furious because they didn't like the last Star Wars movie, and they're like, oh, they were rewriting it while they're making it. See? I'm like, well, that doesn't mean it's going to be bad. But it's an extra challenge that you have to be up for. And RoboCop 2, the second half of that movie, you're like, wow, they never figured this out. They never figured out a real arc for him. I'd forgotten his wife comes back at all. Because, I talked about how in the first one, it's funny, he asks about where she moves, and Lewis, doesn't want to answer the question, and I thought that was it. But no, he turns out he's stalking her. She's back, but that really goes nowhere. I mean, he acts like he's not Murphy when he still is to get her to go. And then the other big conflict is when they reprogram him, and he's, acting, all weird and, overly, chipper. But that's solved within, 10, 15 minutes?
Yep.
That's, once that's solved, there's nothing else for him in the movie to do. Like emotionally, there's nothing else for him to accomplish once that happens. And that's why they're like, now he can be out of the movie for 20 minutes.
Oof, that was a rough 20 minutes. I remember less of this movie than you did, because I saw it once in the year it came out, I think, and then that was it. So I had flashes in my head of what it was in it. I remember that the bad guy becomes a robot. I remember, I remember the big beats. I remember there was a kid villain.
See, I didn't remember the kid at all, and he's got a huge role. I was shocked I didn't remember the kid.
He's so big. He has a bigger third act presence, even though he gets killed, than Kane, who vanishes inside a machine. Yeah. We're all over the place with this movie. I will say that Nuke isn't you mentioned other sci-fi movies, but it isn't as cool as Slow-Mo in Dread.
Oh, Slow-Mo. Well, because Slow-Mo's from a great movie. It's Slow-Mo. Yeah.
But it's way better than Crystal Dream in Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
Right.
Which they also had their own like futuristic designer drug. Which Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, arguable that it's in the future, but it kind of is. I think that is a terrible film that will also not be part of my pick for Good Thing to Enjoy. Nuke, man. Okay, so we'll blow through some of this here. It starts. First thing I notice is that the way RoboCop ended, you kind of think OCP really liked RoboCop at the end of that movie. Like the old man too. He was like, "What's your name, officer?"
Like we talked about. Yes, OCP is all bad inherently, but it still seemed like the old man likes RoboCop, and OCP is happy if RoboCop is functioning, giving them good press.
And now the old man sucks, and OCP hates RoboCop.
Yeah.
OCP just hates this dude. He hates RoboCop. He's already, I don't know how long he's been on the job. Did they even say months, a year? Who knows?
The time jump's not quite.
How long does it take for Nuke to take
Even though
off?
it feels like it can't be that long because the cops they're back on strike, but it just seems like they keep going on strike.
And the purge is still going on with that sequence in which
was funny.
A car purposely runs over a woman's shopping cart. Then a dude robs the old woman. Then hookers rob the dude.
That was funny. I like that.
That
was me going, "Oh, maybe this movie's better than I remember," but it didn't.
That was the way New York was portrayed in all '80s movies. Anyway, here it's dystopian Detroit.
Yes.
John Glover pops up right at the beginning in sort of a fun commercial role, and then Lisa Gibbons is back. And of all the people I was excited to see return in this movie. I don't care about Nancy Allen. I'm like, Lisa Gibbons is back.
And she had a very funny delivery, I thought, when I can't remember her co-anchor, who's also back, when he talks about some horrible nuclear meltdown in the Amazon, and environmentalists are calling it a disaster, and she turns and goes, "But don't they always?" And then she just goes to her story. And I thought that was really
that could have been a Fox News segment last night.
Right.
That reaction. Okay, yeah.
I also want to mention John Glover before we move on from him, just that it was funny because I had never heard of John Glover before 1990. I just looked up at his IMDb. He did several things in the 80s that just weren't things I would have seen or parts I remember.
Ooh, you know what he was in that you had seen it by that point? 52 Pickup, which is a good Roy Scheider thriller where he's the bad guy. He's really good in it. Anyway.
But no, it's funny because I was like, wow, but summer 90 was also the summer Gremlins 2 came out, which he has a huge and great role and he's hysterical in it. And then I looked it up and Gremlins 2 opened a week before RoboCop 2. So for me, I was like, that's the clamp. It's like.
So he went from having a major role to having a cameo in this a week later. Lisa Gibbons is back. Old man's back. Johnson's back. Everyone's back.
I'm very happy Johnson is back too because Johnson is not in the scene. We see I think we see the old man, but I can't remember. Or maybe I just remember the old man was back for sure. But we see RoboCop in the chair with OCP, and there's that asshole from OCP who has a big part too. And I was like, oh, Johnson isn't here anymore. Oh no, poor Johnson got written out. But then Johnson's actually very prominent in the movie. So
and he's still the only person you kind of like from.
Yeah,
he's a yes man, but he's a survivor. Is what I think.
Right.
Action scene: bunch of goons robbing literally a police and military artillery store. Mm-hmm. So they're just getting rocket launchers and machine guns, and RoboCop survives being blown up in a car twice and manages to exit the car with no scuffs on him. I remember the ricochet bullet thing was pretty cool, but I didn't find the action as fun in this movie. I didn't find, I don't know, Irvin Kershner, obviously directed one of geekdom's favorite films of all time. I don't know, it just was sort of inert for me. It wasn't totally dead, but I just wasn't into the action as much. And then I miss the RoboCop theme. There's music, like when he's spying on his wife. The music sounds like it's from a cheesy TV movie. Like all of this feels downgraded.
Yeah, it is a weird thing about it. Did you have the closing credits on like I did, where they have like a choir for the score?
I think I'd shut it off by that point. I don't think I stuck through the credits.
Because I was very like, even if they didn't bring back what's his name, Basil Podaris, I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, who did the score to the first one, and also did Starship Troopers of the Verhoeven. Even if you don't bring him back, use the theme. You can just still play the theme. Damn it!
Oh, that guy is, by the way, a great theme maker, because we're also talking about Starship Troopers. Yeah. Yeah,
but it was very funny because I'm 90% sure. The closing credits of this movie, well, I know they have a choir, which is just a funny thing to kind of like suddenly bring in, but I think they're chanting, Matt, I think they go, RoboCop! RoboCop!
Is that like when we went and saw Salt with Angelina Jolie, and I could swear that the score at the end of the movie was going, Salt! Salt! Salt!
I still have never seen Salt. I wasn't there for you owing Seth Grahame-Smith money. You've never paid him back. So.
I do owe him money for that, but you know what? He owes me money for Dark Shadows. I don't know.
Ooh, Seth, I'm sorry.
No, that's more a Burton thing, right? We're talking about the Burton films we didn't like from the aughts. Yeah, so. All right. Let's see. RoboCop, action, the kid villain named Hobb. By the way, we enjoy synergy here. That kid was on an episode of Punky Brewster.
He was, and he was good. I mean, again, I
wound up caring more about Hobb than I did RoboCop, Eric.
Yeah, I didn't remember there was a kid at all, and then and I was like, oh my god, he has a huge role, and then I was like, oh, this actor was good. I see that he stopped acting in One of the Real Estate. That's fine. Kid actors, I understand if you just want to get away from it all. But yeah, he was very good. Yeah, like I said, it's funny. My memory of RoboCop 2 was like low energy, dull, especially compared to the first one. So again, when I rewatching it, I was like, oh, this is better than I remember, but then it kind of loses any momentum. Also, going in, you have to remember, it sounded like it was going to be the greatest movie ever because it was a sequel to RoboCop, which everyone was excited about. And then Frank Miller wrote it, who first-time screenwriter, but he was just coming off of like just such acclaim as this amazing comic book writer in the 80s who had really helped change comic books with Dark Knight Returns, his Daredevil run, and Batman Year One, and Irvin Kershner, director of Empire Strikes Back. So it's like, on paper, it's like, this can't lose. Like, how can they go wrong with this movie? But,
They found a way. Life finds a way, Eric. Yeah. Never doubt that something can go horribly astray no matter who's attached to it. I think that... And by the way, I'm challenging your RoboCop 2 as the first disappointment you ever felt in the cinema, because you and I saw Major League before this. And we went into school Monday, the only kids in middle school...
I'm not saying it's the first movie I didn't like. I'm just saying, I think it's probably more specifically franchise-oriented. Yes, we did not like Major League. So
but we're the only two who didn't like Major League.
We were the only kids who didn't like Major League.
But to be fair, we saw 3 movies that day, and the other 2 were way better. One was Heathers, and the other one was Deadcom, speaking of Australian cinema.
Oh my god, I did not remember those were the other 2 movies.
Yeah, Deadcom, Philip Noyce. Noyce. Yeah. As they call him, Philip 69.
I didn't know they called him that. But yeah, so RoboCop 2, more about not being the first thing I didn't like, but more like I'm invested in this. The sequel,
first time you experience existential dread was RoboCop 2.
By the way, it really bothered me as a kid, and it still does to some extent, that they don't have the title till the very end, although more movies do that now. Some of the Marvel movies have even done that. But as a kid, I was like, why don't they tell you the title of the movie till the end?
Oh, you were hot. You were heated about this.
Because, some movies have long opening credits. Some just put the title up. But this one just forgoed anything. So it really... I wasn't happy.
All right. Police are on strike. RoboCop's still out there stopping who he can. There's a kid villain. There's a new drug on the street called Nuke. He's stalking and seriously disturbing his ex-wife, who doesn't know what the hell's going on and is making it really hard for her to move on. Yeah. But then, like you said, he pretends to be a robot, chases her away for the betterment of her life. And
Right.
that was it for that story. That was the end of RoboCop 2 for RoboCop, pretty much.
Yeah. Like I said, he gets one more mini story, but that gets resolved too pretty quickly.
And then we shuffle into the OCP plot, which takes up a whole lot. And I don't know who this actress is. Belinda Bauer. She plays Dr. Juliet Fax.
Yeah.
And she gets a lot of screen time in this movie.
Her and the kid are both like featured names on the credit block on the poster.
Yeah,
which they deserve for their screen time.
She gets so much screen time for no death, and that was in a RoboCop movie. If
well,
you're
we
on
know
screen,
she's going to take the fall. Though.
I don't care about that. And also, that happens off screen. I don't care about what happens after the choir sings in the credits. So they're trying to develop literally a robot called RoboCop 2, which is the name of the movie, and they've been
That was clever, and I remember at the time people, and I do think contextually we should point out, because now not a lot of sequels right now are using the number. Some do, but not a lot. But in the 80s, almost every sequel used the number. So for RoboCop 2 to be a little meta and be like, we have a title character named RoboCop 2, that felt clever at the time.
You know, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is using the 2, and I hope they have an actual Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yeah, there you
just
go.
like this, and he's just as nightmarish and has the brain installed inside of a maniacal drug lord. Okay, also played by Tom Noonan, because he's still playing crazy people. Tom Noonan plays Kane in this. Very recognizable actor, almost a very Matt Frewer-ish career that he's been around forever, doing a lot of sci-fi things. Noonan plays more bad guys than Frewer does, and more crazies. He played.
Plays Corky.
He was a crazy psycho in Last Action Hero, and he was a killer. He was the killer Francis Dollarhide in the first adaptation of Red Dragon, which is Manhunter from Michael Mann. And he was on the TV adaptation of 12 Monkeys, and he was on Hell on Wheels. He's just been in a lot of things. You know who he is if you saw him. Still, the kid's better than him. Hob is way better, and I felt so much like more for Hob when Hob dies at the end than anything having to do with any other character in this movie.
Yes.
But yeah, so now we get to Mike's comment about seeing the horrible RoboCop 2 prototypes gone wrong that usually wind up killing people around them, or just ripping
guess what I put in my notes, Matt?
What?
The one ripping its metal head off to reveal a screaming skull is pretty great.
I did. I cackled. I laughed a lot. I actually wrote, this is my note. You want to read my note? Here it is. Rips head off, shows skull, ha ha ha.
That's all you got to say. That's your review.
That's the pull quote on the back of the VHS tape.
Yes.
All right. So then from that, they can't, almost, it's kind of like a Steve Rogers situation, except they didn't lose the super serum. They just can't find anyone who took to being a cyborg quite like Murphy did. Not that Murphy didn't have his problems, but everyone else basically kills themselves and everyone around them within seconds. So
and there's such conflicting stuff here. Like you said, we spend a lot of time with OCP, but then I think there's a lot of conflicting messages coming from OCP, including the fact that they point out that, well, Alex Murphy was a very good person. Like, he had a very moral compass, and that seems to be...
He's a good Catholic, Eric.
Yes, but then they ignore that. But also, you know what scene that really drove me crazy was the scene with Johnson leading the boardroom discussion, and all those people who I believe they're OCP people saying it bothers them that RoboCop's always shooting people.
Oh, this is when they're going to reprogram him.
Yeah, but I'm like, where does this,
and it features the teacher from Child's Play 2 who gets killed with a ruler.
And yes, Beth Grant,
who's you can see just recently released Willy's Wonderland.
You can also see her. She's very prominent in Speed on the bus. She befriends Sandra Bullock, and then has an ill.
She too has a Matt Frewer career.
Yes, and she's a friend of my mom.
Tell Carol to say hi to her for me.
I shall. But yeah, that scene drove me crazy because I'm like, why are these people in OCP suddenly acting like, oh, why is he shooting so? It just didn't seem like the OCP people would be the ones.
I don't even know if they were OCP. I assume they were, but were they just like community activists or something? Where I wish he wasn't violent. I wish he could talk about recycling. I wish all this stuff. Which actually leads me into a tweet that we got at the We Enjoy Podcast Twitter handle, which comes from, Ernesto. Ernesto writes in, I work in my country's government, and Ernesto is actually, I don't even know where he's from. He's not from, I don't think he's from the U.S., but he said my country, so that's my tip-off. He said, I work in my country's government, and the scene when they insert a lot of trash in RoboCop's mind until he can't do anything is exactly how the government works.
Wow. Strong feelings there. All right.
So thank you, Ernesto, to let us know that Ernesto's kind of a bit of a Ron Swanson down there, wherever he lives. Okay, yeah, so what happens? Oh, so before they reprogram him, we skipped over the part where RoboCop goes after Kane on his own. And it's weird. The action isn't great. There's a Trojan horse cop car thing that doesn't work because he lets them blow up the cop car, but then he just walks in, like not hiding who he is. He just walks into the factory. And then he gets beat up and defeated. And they do maybe one of the more interesting things in this entire movie is the POV shot sequence, but instead of building him, it's them taking him apart.
I like that too, obviously making an echo to the first movie.
Yeah, so I appreciated that. Like, that and Lisa Gibbons are the best callbacks in this movie.
Yes.
And he gets taken apart, and then we get a long stretch of, it's not RoboCop, I mean, it's not technically Peter Weller, but it is RoboCop, because it's just a bunch of effects of him, like, taken apart and his weird puppety face going,
yeah, it's funny. It reminded me of, because there's that very brief part of the first Terminator.
When he gets shot, Terminator.
The original Terminator, when he has to, like, fix his eye and stuff, and it's like it's a puppet of Arnold until he puts the sunglasses back
I thought
on.
you were literally going back to the first RoboCop, because there's a moment right as he's shot in the head when it's a fake Peter Weller head and he's making that face. Yeah.
Oh, right. But it was just funny how long they used it here. It's kind of fun to see that kind of fact. It does kind of go hand in hand with the fact that the RoboCop movies, for whatever reason, were not like state of the art. They seem like a few years behind in their effects. And so having that kind of animatronic in 1990, things had kind of advanced a little more.
Yeah, in 3 years we'd get Jurassic Park, so this did feel a little behind the times. But
a year after we get Terminator 2, the year after this.
But also, at the same time, Verhoeven's making Total Recall, which uses some of this, but better.
Yes, that's true. And also because that movie kind of embraces its cartoony tone a little more, I think.
Yeah.
This one where it just doesn't seem like... Yeah, again, they're trying to mimic what Verhoeven did on the first one, but not really echoing it. We also didn't mention, Matt, the blue armor.
Oh, yeah.
Which I came around to. It's more comic booky, which I think is fun. My RoboCop will always be the silver.
The silver. I didn't mind this because it's like, why can't he get a remodel? Why can't he get a new look? It's fine. I just wish the movie didn't quite get a new look. I wish it was a little... I also wish it didn't exist. How about that? I think you can only do the satire that RoboCop, the first movie, did once, and then you can't kind of do that again, or try to even, without it just feeling like a shadow of a shadow. Do we know why, after RoboCop is taken apart, they literally were like, we don't want to build him again because nobody cares about RoboCop, and OCP's being dicks about it, and... He's just spare parts at this point. Do we know why when they do build him back together, which they already said was a big pain in the ass and costly, why they reprogram him? Like, why they do that? To make him completely ineffective? Is it because they want to make him ineffective? Or why is Juliet Fax doing that?
I don't know.
Is it ever explained?
It's never quite explained. It's like, do they want more control? But that doesn't seem to get... Like you said, he's just not working right. He's not being effective. Lewis has to tell him to get up. Like, he doesn't even stand up out of the car at first.
Yeah, but if their plan was to make him ineffective so that they can sell the public on a new RoboCop, that's not clear. They don't say that.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so then we get like this extended middle part, which you said was like 10 minutes long.
We also forgot to mention that why am I forgetting Kane? Kane has Elvis's corpse. I just thought we should mention that.
Yeah, what's with Kane and like Ollie North's poster and Mother Teresa and Elvis's body and like
the Ollie North thing is very funny because it was such a recent thing, and so you wouldn't put Ollie North in now with these other things.
Of course not. Yeah, The other
but
ones, we can look back decades later and be like, oh, that's Elvis. That's Mother Teresa. People would be like, who's that for Ollie North? But Kane is just... I was reading how like Noonan just made him a hippie. He was supposed to be a different type of character at first, and Noonan, who speaks kind of like a hippie no matter what role he's in, just was like, yeah, man, I'm going to be like a sort of trippy 60s dude. And that's also kind of quasi-religious and Jesus-like.
And they call him a cult leader.
Yeah, so there you go. Anyway, RoboCop becomes a sort of a fuddy-duddy, do-gooder, ineffective. And it is weird, and we talked about this when we talk about wrestling a lot, which is like the person who doesn't want to fight, the person who runs from physical confrontation or looks down on it is a bad guy, and the person who wants to punch someone instead of argue or debate and just shut them up with a fist to the mouth is the hero. And that's been a long-standing staple in wrestling that's kind of gross, and if you pull it apart, it's really bad messaging. But here, it's kind of the same thing, which is like, what is he supposed to use? His words? Well, he can't shoot somebody's face off, like he can't blow someone up, with a rocket launcher. What kind of RoboCop is this? And that's kind of the messaging here, which is like, we need this guy to be an instant, effective killer, or else why do we have cops if not for lethal force? So they make him this buffoonish parrot, like the buffoonish opposite of violence, which is, the PSA lecturing, dad jokey kind of idiot.
Yeah, I remembered it brought back a sense of memory for me, or just a memory, that the part when he shoots all around the guy smoking and says, "Thank you for not smoking," would play by itself. It was almost like a PSA. Like I remember, like it was like a early viral marketing, without an internet.
And the other thing is that some of these scenes, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, were in the trailer for this movie, which I saw more than the movie because I saw the movie once and I saw the trailer multiple times, but not played as like without the context. So like when he's like, "Nothing I'd rather do," it just sounds like RoboCop in a scene saying that in a trailer, but not because he's an idiot now, not because he's Dudley Do-Right. And the "thank you for not smoking" was also taken out of context to the point where like, whoa, RoboCop's just an intense individual, like it's not because he's completely malfunctioning and focusing on the wrong infractions, and scaring the shit out of people for not breaking the law, like just being a hall monitor, really.
Right. I will say, especially given the fact that, he has no real arc, and especially we're about to hit the point in the movie where he has nothing to do, really. Peter Weller still gives a really impressive physical performance, and especially, I even put it in my notes that I thought he was doing a really good job when he's like, "I'm having trouble," and his like weird movement. His movements are always weird and robotic, but here they're even more kind of strange. And I thought Weller did a very good job of that. And I liked the idea of Lewis using him as a RoboCop human shield when she's walking behind him, because he's not killing right. But,
he ain't killing right. Well, I put in my notes, Eric, rips head off, shows skull, ha ha ha.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so the kids make fun of him.
I put in my notes? I put, "Go fuck a refrigerator."
Go fuck a refrigerator. That's what I feel like I've been doing all week, because as I mentioned, Eric, at the top of this episode, it's very cold here. It feels like...
So you're like Gene from Wet Hot American Summer.
Yeah, I'm going to hump the fridge. I feel like I've fucked a refrigerator or been fucked by a refrigerator, like one or the other. It's very frosty. Yeah, he's an idiot. He gets spray painted on his head. He gets a "kick me" sign on the back of him. He gets told to go fuck a fridge. He just, so some part of him buried down, Murphy knows this isn't right. He knows he's not effective. He knows he's malfunctioning or something. They look inside him. That weird tech who seems very intimately in love with RoboCop, who is like, I know every inch of him, finds all this bad, superfluous code in his brain, and he... sorry, I just read a part of my notes that made me laugh. I'll tell you right after. Where he's like, when he hears that a shock to the system could clean out his brain. He takes it upon himself to go stick his hands in the outdoor generator and electrocute himself clean, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's the end of that arc, as you mentioned. Like, that's it.
That's put him any conflict except kill Kane.
Yeah. Stop Kane at the end. I wrote in my notes, this is, not remembering the film. I wrote this as the film was going on. What if the kid, Hob, suffers a grosser death than a meal? I didn't even remember if the kid died in the movie. Like, I was like, I went through this movie going like, what happens to this kid at the end? I don't remember. I remember there being a kid. I don't remember how it turned out for him.
Now, what is it? I don't know, Matt. Are we morally corrupt? I don't know. But it was interesting to read that there was a lot of critical blowback on the kid. Did you see, including Ebert, were like very like morally like outraged that there was the kid at all, that he was a killer, and then there was some people that were like upset about. Again, we're jumping ahead, but when he does die, the RoboCop seems a little sympathetic towards him. And why should we? I was like,
you can't have it both ways. Then they're mad that he's evil, but then they're mad that RoboCop cares. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think it's
pick a lane.
The only thing when he sees the kid, he thinks of his son. So when the kid dies, he can be thinking, "Oh, I'd be sad if my son died," even though this kid was, a psycho who tried to kill me. So hey, we RoboCop can contain multitudes.
Look, the kid says, "I'm cold." I say I'm cold. We're all cold here. We're all fucking fridges, and all I'm saying is I can relate, except for the part about lying in a giant pile of cash. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's something that people would have been mad about back then. Maybe that's what drove this actor out of the business. I mean, he's like, you know what? I'm done with you fucks. Can't please anyone.
I forgot her name. I meant to look it up. But a very familiar. That's her name. Fabina Udino, who people will remember has a lot of vagina from Austin Powers, and I remember from summer school, she is the sunblock girl in the ad where we find out that Los Angeles, the ozone's gone, and you can't be out in the sun at all, but there's this, ridiculous stuff you can slather on your body that will still give you skin cancer, as it notes.
Oh, and since we're talking about actresses, Galen Gorge, who we're talking about RoboCop actors that went on to Twin Peaks. There's another one.
Twin Peaks, yeah.
Because she was Nancy O'Reilly, yeah.
She was Blackie's sister. So, yeah, not just that they were on Twin Peaks like an episode, they had multiple episodes. All four of the actors now who have been in the RoboCop series that were on Twin Peaks had recurring roles, if not lead roles.
Oh, was anyone else in this movie in RoboCop? I mean, Twin Peaks? Who knows?
No. I'm just well, Dan O'Hurley. I was Andrew Packard. He's still in it. So.
Well, he's still in it, so we got him again. As we said, he's a dick this time around. So then it becomes RoboCop's just clean. Now that his mind's right, he goes after, finally catches Kane this time. Big chase sequences.
Don't forget. He like basically gets all the police to stop striking by just saying like, "Oh, that's right." I want Kane.
Yeah, he rallies. Well, that's the thing. It's like the first time they beat him because he went in by himself. Now he's got the police behind. Now he's got his brothers in blue backing him up as he goes in, and it helps him beat Kane, who winds up critically injured, and then falls into the web of Dr. Fax, who basically kills him to take his brain because. And the other thing was, it was an interesting concept at the beginning of the movie where she decided, after seeing the failed prototypes of RoboCop 2, she basically decides that we need to find someone who really wants to be a cyborg.
Right.
But she doesn't find that.
No.
I thought she was going to, at the end, offer the chance to Kane to be immortal. Say, hey, want to be a cyborg? You have a god complex. You want to do this? And he's like, yeah. No, she forces him because she thinks she can control him via nuke. So she doesn't even go with the idea that she first had. She just creates a junky robot. She creates a feverish, hophead, fucking cyborg that just craves the junk.
This whole third act. Second half, third act. None of this stuff works. None of it comes together. Also, in retrospect, watching it now, I'm like, it's like, guys, the fact that RoboCop 2... the character is, physically just a big robot, even if you tell us that Kane's inside it, even if you show like a early computer screen face of Tom Noonan, it's not going to convey anything. If it's RoboCop 2, it should be a person that we can, like Peter Weller, Otherwise, you're just doing Ed 209 versus RoboCop, and we already liked Ed 209 versus RoboCop.
By the way, the Ed 209 program we learned at the beginning of this movie is still in full effect. That did not...
Still in effect, but they're malfunctioning, yeah. But yeah, RoboCop 2 is a character. I'm like, yeah, why? Like you're saying, like he should have gone. They should have had some connective tissue. Again, nothing pays off in this movie from the beginning. But yes, he should have chosen, and physically, they should have made sure that Tom Noonan could be part of performing that, so that there's something. It's not just RoboCop fighting a giant robot. That doesn't matter that it's RoboCop 2.
There's a few instances in movie and TV big bad histories where you lose a big part of the movie when your charismatic villain, or I wouldn't call Tom Noonan like charismatic in the way that other villains are, but like when you lose the villain you invest in for 2 acts into some other creature they become. Like when they manifest and become and transform into a different type of entity or being, and that's what the hero faces at the end, you lose a lot of the story, which is why they changed the ending of Blade. Because Stephen Dorff, in the original ending, became a giant blood monster cloud, and test audience were like, what happened to Stephen Dorff? We liked him. So they reshot the whole ending with Stephen Dorff in the scene, but just with powers. Yeah. And because he was a good part of Blade, and people didn't want to lose him, and, they wanted to still feel invested in the final fight. So in this, it's like RoboCop versus Kane for 2 acts, and then you don't feel that's Kane, because you didn't, I don't know. His face shows up on the screen, but it still doesn't feel like Kane. Right. I will say that
he's got the addiction.
He does have the addiction. And I'll say this. I watched it on Amazon, and when you pause a movie on Amazon, it gives you the actors who are in the scene. And when the fucking RoboCop 2 is up there, it's just the effects of the robot. It still lists Tom Noonan underneath, like it's him in the suit. And it is
like
not.
He was mocapping back then.
Yeah, it's not him in a suit at all. It's just like... the essence of Tom Noonan is in the scene.
Well, this is how I would move, guys. He told the stop motion. If I were trapped in
this is how I would move as a robot, and this is how I would move as a robot on Nuke.
This is your robot on Nuke. Any questions? Frank Miller, we should mention, has a cameo. Has Frank, the guy who makes Nuke, when he's tested, like he has the new blue flavor or blue version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's the creator of the movie is the creator of the drugs in the movie.
I guess I appreciated the part of the final fight, which lasts a long time, by the way. As a final clash that I wasn't fully invested or interested in. When the old man is like, behave yourselves, that felt like a trailer moment. I'm sure it was.
It was. It also it echoed in a way that made me want to watch this other movie. But it echoed a little bit Superman 2, which first was because RoboCop says, Kane, let's step outside. And that's when I first put, kind of like Superman 2. But it continued because they fight in front of a lot of people. And, it's like the streets are being messed up and stuff. So it's like, okay, this is kind of a Superman 2 vibe here. But Superman 2 was more fun.
RoboCop saves the day by... I'm glad Lewis got to be involved more in the taking down of Kane. Like, she needed to distract, and she tried to actually ram Kane. He's a little more involved, and that was good. She doesn't have any character development in this at all.
No, again, it's like she and RoboCop get to be partners in this movie, unlike the first one where we joke, like Murphy gets killed on the first time out together, and then it takes a lot of the movie for RoboCop and her to really meet back up. So in this movie, they're partners from the get-go, but she has no storyline.
Yeah, and she doesn't get to talk to him about, like, stalking his ex-wife. She doesn't get to talk, none of that. But, she provides the distraction, and RoboCop hops on the back and rips out Kane's brain, smooches it on the ground over and over again, and again, movie ends right at the end of... No, not at the end of the last fight, right? Because we still get OCP stuff.
We get that they're going to frame her. We have that whole part.
Should have ended right after the last fight. But yeah, she should have been killed by RoboCop 2.
Yeah.
Who
did inexplicably killed his love interest, and we don't really know why.
Whose love interest?
Kane.
Oh,
has
yeah.
kills,
Nancy. Kills Nancy.
Angie is the character.
I'm saying the Twin Peaks character name.
Yes, but I don't know why he kills her. She holds his robot hand, and then he just breaks her.
Well, she's not Nuke.
She's not Nuke.
If she had been Nuke, he would have eaten her.
All right.
Not, he's going to kill her. All right. Hope you're out there, everyone, staying safe, nuking it up, staying warm wherever you are, because Texas is not the only place that's getting hit with a lot of cold and snow. So we just are in the news right now because of people without power. Mm-hmm. But it is cold many other places, except where Eric lives. So bundle up, shoot some nuke in your neck.
I've got the green kind.
What other colors do they have? I can't remember.
I think we glimpsed, because the blue one's the one that he's like, oh, try the new blue, and I think we glimpsed the red's the main one, and then I think we get maybe a couple little tiny glimpses of other colors.
Well, I'm gonna use slow-mo because I'm in a better movie than you. All right, next week, everyone, RoboCop 3, which, in the very least, who said they liked it? Mike likes it more than 2, even though it's PG-13, which also the remake is, right? Wasn't it also PG-13?
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't.
So we'll see them actually aim it more towards kids, even though these movies were kind of aimed towards kids to begin with. And please join us for that and for more good things to enjoy and for more TV and entertainment news. Eric, what's going to happen next week in the world of entertainment? We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
But we'll talk about it. And everything's possible, but nothing is real. And Shockma.
Shockma.